All right, welcome to 3.5. We won't be doing this section of the booklet, so you can move on to 3.6, which is the next page. And we'll be doing interpreting data. Okay, so match each measure of central tendency with the situation. Mean, median, and mode. So we have a skate rental shop orders extra skates in the most popular sizes. Well, that would be something like a mode. A teacher calculates a student's final mark. That would be a mean. And a hairstylist compares her wage with the middle wage where she works. That's the median. All right. Both Ken and Matt read this article. Ken says that half of Canadians spend more than 52 minutes commuting to work. Commuting means getting to work. And Matt says that more Canadians spend 52 minutes commuting than any other time. All right, and it says over here for the article, do you travel for work? Canadians spend more than 225 hours per year commuting to and from work. That's more than 9 days. A recent survey of over 6,000 Canadians representing 13 million workers showed that traveling to and from work takes Canadians an average time of about 52 minutes. Why do you need to know which measure of central tendency was used to draw conclusions about the data? And let's read the hint over here. When you see the word average in the media, it could represent the mean, the median, or the mode. Good to know. That means that fake news, people. So which measure of central tendencies is each person using? Well, Ken is saying half of Canadians spend more than 52 minutes commuting to work, so that's a median. And Emmet says that more Canadians spend 52 minutes commuting than any other time. That would be the mode. Ken spends about 60 each day commuting to work. Do you know from the article if this is longer than most Canadians spend commuting to work? No. No. If 52 minutes is the median, Ken spends longer than half. If 52 is the mode or the mean, you cannot compare. Okay, so if 52 minutes is the median, he spends longer than half Canadians, half of Canadians. If 52 minutes is mode or mean, you can't compare. Is time. Okay, so then in conclusion, we have Melanie is drawing conclusions about the Canadian commuters. Why does she need to know that which measure of central tendency was used? Knowing which gives you the info about the rest. Knowing which gives you information about the rest of the data. So let's move on to an example here. We have Rene is a house painter. He buys 3 types of paint for his customers. The chart shows his paint purchases for 1 week. Which measure of central tendency can help him make the decisions about future painting? Okay, well, let's do all 3. So I'll write down what this says. This says type of paint. The next one says price for a can, and then the bottom says number of cans. So we got type, price, number. Which measure of central tendency is good for him? Okay, so if we do the mean, 5 times 26 plus 7 times 32 plus 9 times 41 divided by adding those three, which is 21, will equal 34.43. So that's the mean. I guess the weighted mean, the mean. The median, so there's going to be 21 cans that he bought. The median is the 11th because that's halfway. 5 cans are at $26 from our chart. 7 cans are 32, so the median is 32. The mode, Rene buys more cans of premium, right? What kind did he buy? Yeah, he buys 9 premium. So premium. Then the other two types, the mode is 41. So this is a great example of all three. The mode looks at the one that you buy the most of. So that would say that he buys $41 on average. But if you look at the median, that takes, the median is the 11th can in the sequence. So 5 are 26, 7 are 32. So that would be the middle one. So it's 32. And then the mean takes all cans bought and figures out the average for per can, including the expensive ones and the cheap ones. So you get 3 different averages depending on which you use, mean, median, or mode. So B, which measure should he use in each situation? So these are the situations on the left here. Rene generally buys about 25 cans of paint per week. He wants to know the average cost of paint. So he should definitely use the mean to figure that one out, because multiplying the mean by 25 will give him the total, right? So he's like, I get about 25 cans. 25 times what averagely he spends would give him the total. But if he wants to know the type of paint that customers prefer, so he can create advertisements for his business, he should use the mode. Because which one was the most popular? Most popular was premium. So that's what customers want. So he should use mode because that is what customers want most often. So he most often sells premium paint, but obviously he spends less because he also sells the other types. And then C, Stefan says that half of the cans of paint Renee buys costs less than the median and half cost more. Do you agree? No. 5 cans cost less. Right? Let's take a look. 5 cans cost less than the median, and 9 cans cost more. 9 cans cost more. How many cost the median? The median was 32, so 7 cost 32. So it's not half and half if you look at the median. It's actually more cost more and less cost less. And then D, which measure of central tendency can help Renee use the data to make decisions about his business? We can look at the mean and mode. Median isn't useful in this situation. Because the values are grouped into 3 sets, like the eco-friendly, the regular, and the premium, and they're not spread out. If there was like 17 different types of groups of paint, we can say that the median would be useful because it would be spread out more and we could use the median. But since there's only 3 choices, it doesn't really help. Okay, moving on to the practices. So it says cost of recent jobs. There's a bunch of different costs here. And we are dealing with Jeff. He's an electrician. The cost of some of his recent jobs are listed to the left. What is each measure of central tendency? All right, so the median would be the 290 plus 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We take the middle. So the middle would have 2 values. The 2 values would be 290 and 362. And we have to add them. Then divide them by 2, and we get, well, so for the median, you would get 326. All right, so the mean, you would add all of them together, which would be 2,684, and you divide it by how many there are, which is 8, and we'd get $335.50. And then the mode would be the most often middle value, right? Yeah, so 245. Or most common value, yeah, 245. Okay, which cost would be considered an outlier? Well, the $48, because there's nothing else very close to it. Remove the outlier. What are the mode, median, and all that other stuff? Okay, so the mode would still be 245. The median would be 365. No, 362. and the mean would be 2,636 divided by 7, which would equal 376.57. Good. Hint, when working with money round to the nearest cent after you've made the final calculations. Okay, yeah, if your answer is not 57, just round it right or something. When the outlier was removed, both the mean and the median increased. The mean and the median did increase, but the mode stayed the same. When could removing an outlier cause the measures to decrease? Well, obviously we took out the smallest value, which means everything increased. So if we took out the largest value, everything would decrease. So let's write that in words. They would decrease if the outlier was greater than the mean and the median. Did removing the outlier change the mode? Explain. No. The mode is not an outlier. So it's still the amount used most frequently. Amount used most frequently. Because we still had 245 as the most frequent in our calculations up there. Okay, number 2. Median list prices for homes for a recent year in Western Canadian cities are given to the left. Scott says that the median list price for all the homes in these cities is $425,000. Do you agree? Explain. He said the median. Let's see. I think. Well, tell me. What do you guys think? I'll write out. So these are median prices right there. This says city right here. So you have Vancouver, Victoria, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Regina. Scott says that the median list price for all the homes in these cities is $425,000. Do you agree? And remember, the way you figure out median is you get the median and see what it is. If it's 425, do you agree? Explain. I'm going to give you a hint. The weights of these are different. To get like Vancouver for this price, there's a lot more homes in Vancouver than there is in Saskatoon. So this has a larger weight than this. Same with Winnipeg. Not like, what is there, 700,000 people in Winnipeg? Vancouver's got like millions. So the weight matters. Which list price should be considered an outlier? Well, obviously Vancouver, I'll give you that one because it's quite high compared to the rest. News media often use the median rather than the mean when reporting home prices. How could this be related to outliers? Let's do this one. The mean can be misleading. If there are prices that are very high or low. The median tells us the middle cost. Whoops. The middle cost of homes. So it gives us more idea of the typical value. So it gives us a realistic idea of typical values. Okay, moving on to 3. Suppose that you read this information about Canadian films in the news. So I'll read this out loud for you. Is the Canadian film industry headed for trouble? Film productions in Prince Edward Island earned only $1 million last year. What other information would be needed if you wanted to answer the question at the beginning? So they only tell us that they earned only $1 million, but we don't know what they earned before. We don't know what they normally earn. We don't know the mode, the median, any of that. It just says the Canadian film industry is heading for trouble. Is it? We don't know. So the question is, what other information would be needed for you to answer the question? Maybe previous years? Previous year earnings needed. Because we have nothing to compare it to. Why might news media sometimes use outliers instead of more balanced information when they report events in the news? Outliers make news interesting. Right? Because they're outliers, they're extremes. So when they talk about them, it's like, oh my God, this happened. 4, why is it important to recognize outliers in the news? They can be misleading. So they should tell you that it's an outlier. Otherwise, you can skew your reasoning and think something's totally true when it's not. It's just an outlier. Okay, number 4. In a recent year, Canadian volunteered a total of 2 billion hours. The median per volunteer was 56 hours. The mean per volunteer was 166 hours. What does the median tell you about Canadian volunteers? So the median will tell you the halfway point. It said it was 56, so half of volunteers worked 56 hours or less. Other half worked 56 hours or more. What can you tell from looking at the median and the mean together? Well, the mean is a lot greater than the median, so there must be some very high numbers in the high half of the data. So there was a lot of people that worked 166 hours. That's why it's so large. So the mean is a lot bigger than the median. So this means a lot of people worked more than 166 hours. And then the last one, we have Casey. Casey's thinking about moving to Calgary. Choose one statement from the advertisement at the right. Its meaning depends on the measure of central tendency used. Why? So it says, move to Calgary. It is the youngest city in Canada. The average is 35. Average hourly pay is 24. Average home cost is less than Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. So we're talking about medians, modes, means. So let's look at the first one. If 35 years old is the median, half the people are younger, and half are older. That doesn't seem like a young city, right? They use the median. 35 is the middle then. So all people are either like half are younger or half are older than 35. So that doesn't make it seem that actually means that like every second person you'd run into would be over 35. So that's kind of old. The next point said the hourly wage was, well, let's just keep talking about the age. If 35 is mode, there are a lot of 35-year-olds in Calgary. But you don't know how many people are other ages. So Mode says that there's a lot of 35-year-olds. That's the most common age in Calgary. But what if the second most common age is 60? Then the second largest population in Calgary could be 60, right? So the mode doesn't really tell you everything about the city either. And then what about if 35 is the mean? You don't know. How the ages are spread out. Spread out. So there you go. That shows that all three ways are kind of not the best for telling you the average. But I've been to Calgary. They do have a very young population. Downtown's always bumping. So definitely recommend to go there. Okay, that's 3.6. Next unit would be 3.7, where we deal with percentiles. So that one's a bit longer too. It's 4 pages, and then I think we're done. So last video is 3.7. Thanks for watching.